Hi everyone, it's me. And if you like my channel, please like and subscribe. There's a notifications bell over in the corner that if you press that, you can get notified as to when I am going live. Hi, Busy Bee. So today I want to talk about bodily autonomy. And bodily autonomy is one's right to oneself. In other words, a person having the right to do with their body as they will, as long as it's not infringing upon someone else's bodily autonomy. Of course, that's a given. So now I want to talk. This is hard. I'm not even going to, throw punches at this. Is really difficult for me. I have spent probably the last 3-4 days just rolling things over in my head as to what I wanted to say, how I felt about this. And of course, in case anybody's wondering what brought this to light, was the current decisions in some of our states to um, these heartbeat bills, um, and my feelings on that. And I feel that bodily autonomy and lack thereof is something that has impacted my life in huge ways. So, first, being a child that was sexually assaulted and physically assaulted, I was treated as property. And even now, I kind of bristle when people say, well, they're my kids. And I did it with my own children. And I learned later on that by saying that, I'm saying that my children are property, and they were not. They are their own beings with their own selves. And, the forcing of hugs or whatever, and we're learning better than that. But I also, outside of the abuse, I remember when we went into one foster home. We were there for a few years, and they were a part of what is called the Assemblies of God Church. Kiora Wadi. I'm not sure if I'm saying that, Kiora, but hello. And I was young. I was probably 11 or 12, and they would show us videos of what an abortion was. And there was one called The Silent Scream that was real big at the time. And it was, of course, a fictional account, and it was propaganda is what it was. And these things were not based on anatomy, nor were they based on science. And they were based on the belief that women are to be looked over, attended to, and taken care of, as if we were unable to do so for ourselves. Hi, Jack. And one of the things that really got me, well, there's several, but first and foremost, going into that environment, I was constantly bombarded with loss of innocence, that my innocence had been taken away from me, that someone in my past had stolen, and so I am now tarnished because I had been sexually assaulted. And apparently that's where my worth lied, was in my gender and my ability to be pure. And that was really hard going through as a child. It was hard as a child listening to how you were somehow less than. And the fact is I was victimized. Someone traumatized me. But they didn't take my innocence. They perpetuated a trauma. And through that, instead of learning ways to cope and be stronger, it was fed to me that I was always going to be weaker. I was always going to need someone to be there. And as I grew older and, for example, wanted to play soccer, I wanted to play soccer as a freshman in high school, but I went to a Christian high school, and it was a very small one. Hi, John. And soccer was for boys. I was led into choir. Well, I loved choir, don't get me wrong. I loved singing. But I was not allowed to play soccer because that was a boys' sport. And we could not make the boys feel any less. Like we couldn't compete against them. If we won, that was absolutely not. And that was perpetuated throughout my growing up. Even when I told my grandmother at 5 or 6 years old, you know what I was told? We don't say those things about people. Not did it happen, because I mean everybody knew. Everyone in our family knew that we were being systematically and horribly abused by our father. And as much as I love my grandparents, because I truly do, it was assumed that I was property, I was a girl. So I'd get breaks from the abuse, but it's not ladylike. It's not appropriate to tell on someone. And I could go through and through with rape and this and other things where people thought they had a right to me if I didn't do or say the right thing. I had an ex-husband, my first ex-husband, who thought that he had a right to make me do things, to change my attitude by throwing me across the room, or punishing me in some way, and taking away my body space by going to sleep and not being comfortable with sexual activity and having a partner force it on you and then tell you that's what you get when you're married. That's not okay. Now, my first child, um, I had a problematic pregnancy. Afterwards, I ended up with, they left part of the placenta in. I was very, very sick, ended up having endometriosis and had a Jones metroplasty. This was at 18 years old, within 6 months of having my child. I won't say there was zero support, but there was support later. Everyone in my life at 17 years old, the people that I knew, wanted to tell me, except for my aunt, who was actually a life sciences teacher, that was the decision I made, and that was just all these things. You know, you made your bed, you lie in it. And while I am so thankful for my son, they didn't care about me or my children once I had children at all. I remember after being beat one time, I was in Germany, and it was after he'd thrown me into the wall heater. And I called my foster mom, and I was like, listen, I'm getting beat. He's hurting me. I need help. And she said, I'll pray about it. And in the end, I was told that, God picked my husband, and that was, because I was property now. Like that was the reigning thing. And I'm not just in this, I'm not just talking about abortion. I'm not just talking about rape. I am talking to the right to have yourself be yourself. When I was pregnant with Trinity, my littlest one, it was really dangerous. I had half a uterus. Part of my uterus had been pulled out by my other daughter, and one tube. And I had a very high risk pregnancy. In other words, I was on bed rest from about 3 months old, or three months in. But part of that was making the decision as to whether or not I decided to carry, because the medical opinion was is that I should not, that it was extremely life endangering to me, and I had two small children. And I've had people say to me later, well, in cases like yours, you know what? No, not in cases like mine. Everyone gets that right to decide. Everyone. There are factors and things going on in people's heads and their lives that we don't understand. That's why we're not supposed to control others. It's because you will never be able to control them right. You're not them. And after going through all of this, and actually part of all of this, all these surgeries and the endo and everything else, is I learned anatomy. I learned science. And I learned reality. And I learned that I was so angry at being brainwashed. I was angry over propaganda by people that had some sort of feeling about my body and what I did with it. And it still gets me. I remember them having us make signs at 11, 12 years old to go harass people, to hurt others. And now that I'm older, I understand that a lot of those women were going in for care that otherwise they wouldn't have had. And we were screaming at them, holding signs of crap that wasn't even real. Just because somebody had the feelers. And it's wrong, because science is real. Every day, science is real. And these traumas and these things that people put other people through or make them do, that causes trauma in and of itself. I want to talk about another type of trauma in wartime. Do you know why rape is so effective? And why there are troops that use rape? Because it takes bodily autonomy away. And I don't see, it's been used throughout history to make women bear the Genghis Khan, make the women bear the next generation. And I don't understand how anyone has the right to do anything with my body. If I go in for my next mammogram, I just got the notice, and I have a tumor, you can't tell me not to have that removed. You can't tell me anything about it. It's between me and my doctor. And even my doctor can only recommend treatments. It's still upon me to take that. So I'm really, it's got me fired up, because I was faced with that choice once or twice or three times. I didn't make it, so what? But my children, I discussed at length with them what those choices were, and that I didn't make that choice, and I love them very much. But I will tell you now, my littlest one was told growing up that her mom thought about killing her. Her mother wanted to kill her, because I had discussed it with the family, I guess, or his family, and they were extremely right-wing conservative. And it came up, how dare you? How dare you even think about this? Like somehow that was going to affect my love for her in the future. And I think she will always have issues due to that. It's a horrific thing to place. Yes, I totally agree with you, Busy Bee. Um, that is one thing that I believe, honestly, people have a right to their belief system. If you don't want to carry a baby, don't. If you feel that if you have to carry that baby or it's murder, you have a right to feel that way about you and only you. You you get to have feelings about me, go ahead, but you can't put that on me. Other people's opinions about my body are just opinions. And it's my body, so I get to say whether that's fact or not. Period. And that goes for what grows in me as well. And now that I said that, I am going to beg anyone who has any question, just please do your due diligence in your research and learn about anatomy and learn about growth and, and just open your mind and think about why you think the way you do or why it is that you think in any way, shape, or form that you would have a right to someone else's body. So, um, random guy, thank you very much. As a matter of fact, my birthday is coming up and I'm going to be 41. So, rolling right into the 40s. I had a great 40th. So, and the thing is I, today I had this like great meeting, and I'm going to talk about that actually in another blog because this subject, and I probably didn't say it all perfectly or right. All I know is that for 4 days, I've just been turning it over in myself as to trying to wrap my head around where we are right now as a society, as to why are we thinking the way we are, and what can we do to address that and address it with factual information and work with it from that aspect. But the one thing that I felt like I had to be firm on is my body is mine, no one else's. There are days I don't even like my clothes touching me, let alone another human being. And that's okay because my body is mine. There are days I want to pump myself full of chocolate and coffee. Should I do that? Probably not. But my body is mine. And that's the way that goes. I know this probably weren't the greatest examples, but whatever. So anyway, later tonight, I am going to be doing another vlog, but it's about had an amazing meeting today, and some of the work I'm doing off on the healthcare sphere and getting everything connected so that we can really roll with this and really get to solving some humanitarian crises. So anyway, I wish you all love. I hope that you get something from this, and I appreciate all your support and all your love. Thank you, Mayra. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you all. And I just want to say, it's nice to know as well that there are people that are reaching out and helping making change and positive change as well. All right, good night and stay safe and happy, like John said. Bye.